Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. For anybody who's new, my name is Jocelyn and I create music related graphic designs. So for this video, as you can already guess from the title, I'm going to be designing a vinyl record album cover for Taemin's third and latest album, Never Gonna Dance Again. So the album has two parts, Act 1 and Act 2, and there are two singles, Criminal and Idea, and the latest one, Idea, actually just came out around last week, I think, and can I just say, the two parts were absolutely amazing, and the album art and photography for all of the versions were so gorgeous, and it was one of the reasons why I wanted to create this design in the first place, other than the fact that I've been a huge fan of Taemin for almost a decade now. So I highly recommend that you check out his music as well as his music videos, and I put links in the description box down below for you to view. And before I show you my design process, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and now let's move on to my sketches. So here is a rough sketch of what I'm planning to do for my design, and I'm going to be walking you through some of the key elements that I'm going to include. So this is the cover of the album, and I was planning on warping the title right here and making it go around the main photo that I'm putting, and I already have a photo in mind for this, and I might stretch the picture out throughout the page and have the letters frame the focal point in the middle. And this shape right here, I don't know if you can understand it, but it's kind of the shape that I'm aiming for because the image that I'm putting is going to be a bit angled. And for the back part right here, I wanted to have some thin lines to give it some structure, and I might be eliminating some depending on whatever fits with the photos that I'm adding, because I'm kind of worried that it might be a bit too much. And I also wanted to add a star element here to make it more interesting, and there's obviously a lot of text like the name of the artist, the album, the titles, as well as the album number. And there are some colors that I have in mind, like red, black, beige, and green. I'm not really sure what I'm going to use yet. It depends on what's going to look best with the photos. And I also did a small layout of the design for the actual record. So overall, I think the ideas that I have in my head will turn out great once I get it onto the computer. So now let's move on. So for this project, I'm going to be using Adobe Illustrator, and right now I'm creating a file and I'm setting my dimensions to 12 inches by 12 inches. I'm going to start off by making the main text of the album cover. So right now I am typing in Never Gonna Dance Again. The typeface that I decided to use for this is a serif font called Bajilla, and I decided to go with it because I thought that it matched with the classic and fashionable vibe that Taemin gives off in his performances. What I'm about to show you guys is how to distort text by using shapes. So I'm going to start off by using the shape tool to create a rectangle, and I'm going to go to the knife tool to cut the wavy edge. And I'm just going to delete the bottom part. And now I'm going to duplicate the shape into 4 for each word. To combine the shape with the text, I can just select both and go to Object, and then Envelope Distort and Make with Top Object. And what that does is distort the letters to fit the entire shape. So I'm just going to do the same thing for all of the other words. Alright, so now I have successfully made the letters distorted, and I'm just going to assemble them in the way that I planned. And now I'm going to move it over into my artboard and resize. So fast forward, I added this image of Taemin that I found on the internet. I thought it looked really cool because it gives the feel of spiraling down, if you understand what I mean. The way that the text surrounds the tilted focal point gives it some movement. And I switched the color to green because I thought that it would look much better in contrast to the warm tone of the image. The next thing that I'm going to do right now is the back part, and I'm going to start off by typing in Taemin's name at the top, and I'm also planning to add an image in the middle, so I'm going to move on to Photoshop to edit that. So right now I'm using Photoshop and I already made some adjustments to the image. I wanted the picture to have a torn paper effect, so I did some masking on it and I found some torn paper images online and I used it to trace it off the edges. And now I just save it into a PNG and transfer it over to Adobe Illustrator. I went back into Photoshop and used the mask to create this white fill to place underneath the image to give that torn paper illusion. I also added a little bit of grain to make it feel more like paper. Now that's done, I'm going to move on to creating the text elements for the design, and I'm going to start off with the name of the album. The next thing that I'm going to do is create an arch shape by using the warp tool. And I can do just that by selecting the text and going to Envelope Distort and clicking on Make with Warp. So now I can just adjust the bend. And once I'm happy with how it looks, I just press OK and that's it. As I've mentioned in my sketch, I wanted to add a star element. I wanted to incorporate the themes of the original album, because both of the parts or the acts kind of depict heaven and hell or devil and angel. For the first act, especially with the single Criminal, it had this really dark vibe to it, while the second act was more light and heavenly in a sense. The single Idea or Idea, as Taemin pronounces it, has this feeling of renewal after being torn apart in Criminal. I'm not sure if I described it well, but anyway, back to the design, I just pasted this texture at the back just to make it look a little bit worn out, because I wanted to give that retro vintage feel that a vinyl album has. And now I'm going to start the middle design for the record. And while I'm doing the layout for the shapes and the text, I'm just gonna talk more about Taemin's new album because I really like it a lot. So first off, my favorite song from Act 1 is probably Two Kids. If you have never checked out his music videos, I highly recommend it because the choreography and the visuals to each of Taemin's music videos are so... I would describe it as kind of like eye candy. There's a lot going on with storytelling and symbolisms. And for Act 2, I guess my favorite songs would have to be Pansy and Heaven, because I was really excited to hear the studio version of Heaven ever since it was performed years ago. In my opinion, he's one of the most well-rounded idols in the K-pop industry, and it just says a lot how he remained so relevant even though he debuted in the second generation of K-pop. Now that it's the fourth generation, he is still trying a lot of new things and renewing himself with his music and his dance. I just really like his style and artistry. Also his creative input when it comes to his singles, especially when it comes to his stage performances. I always love watching them. He has been so consistent ever since he debuted as a solo artist. Anyway, for the record design, I decided to change the colors into something more dark. And now all there's left is some finishing touches. And here it is, the final mock-up design for Taemin's third album, Never Gonna Dance Again. Overall, I had a lot of fun doing this, and I think I did the album justice. And anyway, I'm happy with the way that it looks, and if there's anything that you want me to redesign, just let me know. And that is all I have for you guys. If you enjoyed this, please leave a like and a comment. You can follow me on Twitter if you like, my link is down below. And I also have a music poster design that I did for NCT 127's song Daydream. So if you're interested in that, you can also check that out in the description box, and I will be seeing you guys next time. Take care.